Let's see if you've heard this before. A guy dies and gets reincarnated, and it turns out that he's more OP in the new world, even though he's not a noble.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Now every one of these shows tries to add a few twists to the generic stuff, and that's what ends up drawing us to them. This story I want to talk about today is one that tried and successfully managed to add a lot of emotional weight to the reincarnation, at least for me. The story revolves around our main character Desir, who is one of the 6 remaining survivors after humanity faced the Shadow Labyrinth. The 6 of them tried and sadly failed to clear the level, and the world ended up being destroyed. When he opened his eyes, he realizes that somehow he's still alive, but in a different place, or let me say a different time. He was sent back in time 13 years to be exact. Now he has the knowledge of future events and makes it a point to try to save all the loved ones he lost in the future world, but there's a time limit. The Shadow Labyrinth that destroyed the world is going to appear again in 3 years, so he needs to get strong people to try and save the world again. Before we go on, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already for more anime, manga, and manhwa content. Now, when I started reading this, I quickly realized that the only thing that might make people not want to read it is because of all the cliche stories we've seen. But this is one that really tries his best with what it has. The reason Desir is so OP is because he literally fought till the end of the world, and he had to acquire skills to live as long as he could. So being sent over a decade back in time means that there have been a lot of advancements in magic, and he has a higher battle sense. He wasn't OP in his original world either. It's not like he was a demon king before reincarnated. And he's also not a noble and doesn't boast a large mana pool, but the magic he uses mainly is to analyze other people's spells, to know what spell formula is used and how he can make changes to it. So yes, it's a broken ability, but only broken when he uses it due to his experience. This story has an interesting world in that there are RPG elements like explorations, quests, dungeon bosses, parties, items, EXP, and it even makes characters relive moments in different time periods where they can unlock rewards and hints based on their in-game actions. Speaking of the party, these are people that were in Desir's original party that died, but he found them again and partied up with them. Well, they're far inferior versions, I should say. But that makes him take on a sensei type role, which I gotta say he's extremely good at, and each one of them brings out a different part of him, like the big brother side or even the lover side. Now, the story shows the divide between the upper class nobles and the lower class peasants, but it's also a story that shows a character trying to break the norm of society and doing his best to teach the nobles who didn't know any better the right way to live and treat people. And in that same vein of the main character trying to teach people stuff, every good story needs a great villain to contrast that protagonist's ideals, but this main villain is somewhat different. He's one that was born as a villain as a result of the same discrimination that Desir is trying to fight against, but we're able to see where their paths and decisions differ. So it makes them interesting to follow considering they both want the same thing but are doing completely opposite things to achieve the same goal. The stakes are high in this because our main guy already failed when he had stronger versions of his current team with him, so it becomes a question of what is the story going to try to do to make things different in this new reality. And I personally wonder if he's going to die again and have to restart. But let me know what your thoughts are on this story if you've already read it, and if you haven't, would you like to try it? Let me know. Anyway, that's it today, and I'll see you all again.